Okay, welcome everyone to another event of Portugal Fintech. Now for a great milestone for not only the Portuguese ecosystem, but also for the European fintech ecosystem. Today we're going to have the official launch of the Portugal Fintech Report 2020 with the help of our partners Accenture, Visa, and Moura. In this event, we're going to have 4 chapters. In the first one, we're going to have the Portugal Fintech team talking about insights and key topics of the Portugal Fintech Report. And then we're going to have 3 panels: Fintechs Working with Incumbents, Best Practices and Pain Points. Then we're going to have a discussion about, is Fintech more fin or more tech? A debate between CEOs and CTOs. And then talking about APIs, and of course, it's an API world. Are you open? So I'm Marco Nigris, and I'm the director of the Fintech House, a hub that was created 1 year ago to put the whole ecosystem in one place. And after 1 year of work, I am very, very proud of the achievements that we did this year, because we have more than 40 startups in our community, more than 25 partners helping us to help the startups. And also, we've done a lot of events around the year for the industry. I think this place, it's amazing because for the startups, they can create connections and be in contact with other institutions, and for incumbents to get real innovation from the startups. All this, the report, the Fintech House, and other initiatives are created by the Portugal Fintech Association, a non-profit, non-governmental association created in 2016 to basically help the startups in 4 main pillars: access to mature players, financial institutions, help with regulation, and also access to capital investment and to talent. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Matilde and Antonio that will bring different insights from the report and key topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. So I will try to give you a very short sneak peek into the Portugal Fintech Report 2020. This is the 4th edition of the Portugal Fintech Report, and we have as main objective to portray the state of the Portuguese fintech industry, resorting to the most direct source of information, which is the ecosystem itself. The report is based on 5 chapters. The first is an industry overview with the main statistics on the ecosystem and also some of the main trends present in the industry. Then we have a chapter fully dedicated to our fintechs, which are the center of our work and the center of this report. And we bring to you the newcomers, the fintechs that were created in 2020, but also the top 30 Portuguese fintechs, which we've all been waiting for, and the international players operating in Portugal. Then we bring you key insights from relevant personalities, such as Professor Manuela Veloso, head of AI at JP Morgan, also Chris Skinner, Ben Morel, an international VC investing in Portuguese fintechs, and entrepreneurs and other relevant stakeholders. Then we have a chapter on the real case studies of how fintechs are empowering mature players, bringing innovative processes and solutions to market. And finally, a chapter on regulation with the views of regulators and policy makers on Portugal rising as a fintech hub and their view on a Portuguese regulatory sandbox. Diving a bit into the statistics and into what a fintech looks like in 2020, it is clear that the most populated segment is payment and money transfers, with 27% of them operating in that vertical. We also see about 20% of insurtech, a segment that has been growing a lot. Also regtech, blockchain and crypto on the rise. So it's really interesting to see how diverse this ecosystem is. In terms of stage, about 43% of them are in seed stage, and most of these companies were founded in 2018. These companies are mostly concentrated in Portugal, but there are also some with headquarters in the US or across Europe. Regarding funding and talent, the top 30 Portuguese fintechs have raised about 275 million euros, which is a very relevant number, with investors pointing out talent and the ability to execute as the main drivers of their interest and of their investment. The most popular segments in terms of funding are alternative funding, payments and money transfers, and blockchain and crypto. Fintechs are composed on average by 20 employees, and our founders estimate the increase in the cost of talent in the times to come to be between 1.2 and 1.5 times what it is now. Regarding the founders' barometer and their views on the ecosystem, it is clear that the hardest ship that they point out as being the most felt is the sales cycle. And so even though we see that players are more open to collaborate, the effectiveness of that collaboration is still difficult. There are a lot of processes involved, a lot of decisions from a lot of different people, and so this is still a clear pain point of the ecosystem. We also see here 37% of founders indicating regulation as one of the main areas to improve. And although about 50% of them see an improvement in the accessibility to regulators, which could be driven by the Portugal FinLab, about 70% of them still believe they need stronger ties with the government, so there is still space to improve there. And without delaying any further, I leave you with a map of the Portuguese ecosystem. As I said, the center of our work, and it's really interesting to see how populated it is in all these different segments. And we really invite you to explore the report and get to know these fintechs, get to know the teams behind them, get to know the differentiation they are bringing to the market, and the use cases that materialize their products, which Antonio will be exploring further. Thank you.
Thank you, Matilde. Good morning. So, the report shows that startups are growing, but also that partnerships between mature players and startups are becoming a common strategy in the market. So we also included in the report a collection of these examples that prove you that startups are not only reliable, but also the right partner to innovate. And you can see a lot of examples of how these mature players and startups partnered together to create new solutions. But we also included real use cases and real case studies that are a deep dive in these partnerships. We are just presenting you a few. You can read the rest in the report. But I would like to highlight, for example, the case of Lovys and My Nouvelle Ville. So My Nouvelle Ville helps professionals moving to France, and Lovys is an all-in-one insurance, providing a digital experience. And they were able to partner to provide My Nouvelle Ville with a home insurance step in their customer journey to the home rental digital journey. So this partnership enabled them to provide a 100% digital experience where they wouldn't have one before. Also, for example, the second case is Alfredo and Mais Consultores. So Mais Consultores is a real estate agency, and Alfredo is an AI-powered startup that provides AI information in the real estate market. So they partnered together to provide access for their real estate agency of Mais Consultores, access to a unified listings portal, or access to AI-powered real estate market report. So these are tools that now facilitate the work of these real estate agents when they are accessing the market or trying to promote their sales. But not always these partnerships are about sales or product development. So the third case is about internal processes and optimization. So Millennium BCP and Visual AI, they partnered to create and provide better solutions to their workers so that they better serve their clients and thus providing a better customer experience. So it's not always about sales, it can be also about internal processes. So at Portugal Fintech, we understand these challenges that startups and incumbents face when they are working together. And we are ready to help them at every stage of innovation and digital transformation, especially when working in these partnerships. So we invite you to download the report, it's now available, and also to read these cases and take the first step towards working with fintechs. So thank you, and Mark, thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonio and Matilde, for the use cases and and also the insights of the report. And now to the second chapter of this event, we're going to have a panel that will speak about fintechs working with incumbents, what are the best practices and also the pain points. And for that, we're going to have Jana from Visa, Ricardo from LOQR, João from Fraudio, and it will be moderated by Luís Pedro from Accenture. Luís, are you there?
Good morning. Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Yes, I hope.
Yes, we can.
Good. Thanks. Thank you, guys, and congratulations once again for your effort of for being a pioneer in the Portuguese landscape, but also working with a wider geographical scope in mind always. So I would like to congratulate you once again. It's also, I'm personally very, very proud of being so close to you over these last 3 years. We have a very profitable and useful, I would say, partnership between Accenture, based here in Lisbon, and Portugal Fintech. We are promoting actively in the scope of our services, and we are bringing a whole bunch of fintechs and insurtechs as well on all the financial services landscape. So again, it's really my pleasure to be here with you again, and I would like to welcome to our panel that I will present Jana Lvova. She is the head of fintech for Visa Europe. Jana is leading the Visa's fintech team. She's responsible for designing and delivering solutions to fintech clients. She's got more than 20 years of experience in payment business and retail banking across Europe. She's joined Visa since 2006. Thanks for making the time and thanks for joining us, Jana. Good morning. I think you're based out in London, as I was understanding, right?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. We also have Ricardo Costa. Ricardo Costa is the CEO of LOQR. LOQR basically develops a KYC solution to support the onboarding, the AML compliance, and better user experience. Ricardo is also a good and a very good friend of ours. Ricardo, thanks for joining. Hope everything is okay with you. I don't know where are you based, but I think in Lisbon, no, in Braga, in Portugal,
no,
somewhere in
thank
the
you
world.
for having me here. Yeah, today I'm in the north of Portugal. I'm in my city town in Faf, so home office basically.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And we have also João Moura. João Moura is the CEO of Fraudio. It's a fintech with a solution for decomplexify and disrupt the payment fraud detection and anti-money laundering. João, thanks for joining. Thanks for making the time. It's really a pleasure to have you here. I believe you're out of Portugal in this moment, I guess.
I am in Spain. I am Portuguese, of course.
Spain.
I'm in Spain, but actually I'm based from Amsterdam, usually.
Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. So once again, guys, thanks for making the time. Thanks for joining. I'll start by Jana. Fintech and incumbents, I have started, let's say, as competitors. They are becoming more on a cooperative relationship, I would say, generally speaking, of course. My question to you is, to what extent, and in this context of COVID, and mainly thinking about the post-COVID era, do you think that the role or the relationship between incumbents and fintechs will change dramatically, or it will remain roughly the same?
So thank you for having me on the panel, first of all, and good morning, everyone. So I just wanted to say, like, it's the relationship and the partnership and what fintechs have brought to the financial services industry. It's amazing. I think we see the acceleration of innovation across the whole sector. It's been really nice to see, and fintechs have initially, as you mentioned, challenged the traditional banks to speed up that innovation, and then also find ways of cooperating that it's actually good for everyone in the ecosystem. And just on COVID and what we've seen with COVID, and I'm saying as terrible as this is and the impact it has on everyone, there we do see some interesting trends, and it's definitely the move to digitalization has accelerated, and that's going to force the whole industry to innovate even at the faster pace. And we've seen it already, actually. We've seen some examples of how the traditional players, but fintechs as well, even though for fintechs it might have been easier, like the traditional players had to operate in non-branch businesses, and they had to really make sure that their clients have access to funding through their mobile apps. So, and also COVID is going to kind of, given the situation, probably could put financial pressures for all the players. We do believe that actually this cooperation is going to even accelerate as well, because the incumbents will more likely going to look for faster solutions, and instead of developing things in-house and trying to everything, will probably reach out to partners across the industry. So we see that. We as Visa as well, I just would like to say actually, and facilitate some of these introductions. We have various programs for fintechs, not only like my program that allows fintechs to connect to Visa, and if they want to issue or acquire payments. We also have a venture fund to invest and support some of the fintechs with the investment, but we also accelerate introductions between fintechs and traditional players and incumbents through our program. So this is just, we definitely see this is coming. We see incumbents asking us about recommendations. This has facilitated these types of actually hackathons for traditional players in Germany. And another just maybe evidence of what I'm saying is this increased cooperation. It's just recently came from UK, from London as well, where some of the top leading banks actually signed a fintech pledge. I don't know if you heard about it, but they pledging into improving access to fintechs, including the commercial partnerships, making it more transparent, visible, and easier for fintechs to connect. So that just shows that the incumbents are really kind of even more serious than they have been in the past.
Okay, thank you. So is it fair to conclude that collaboration is increasing, and
Yes.
Probably mostly to intensify
Yes.
with this COVID and hopefully post-COVID era? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you, Jana. Moving to Ricardo. Ricardo, very straightforward. Tell me one good thing and one bad thing on your past interactions with in working with incumbents. Just don't mention names on the bad things.
No. Okay, so thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. Great to be here again and to be part of this amazing report. So we at LOQR, we work with a lot of, I don't really like the name incumbent, but we work with a lot of traditional financial services players. So we work a lot with a lot of banks. I don't know if I can tell one good and one bad thing. And I believe they are different. So they are different than us as a startup or a grow up. They have different ways of working. They have their own pace. They have their own legacy systems. They have a lot of people involved with. They have their own rhythm. So it's up to us to adapt to that. So we are the new boys in town, if you want, or the newcomers, and we need to adapt to the way they work and help them, bridging them to that way of working, to the new ways of working. We have learned a lot during the last years working with traditional players, and what we see is they really have in their mind the need to move on and be quicker if you want, but we need to help them doing that because it's not the normal way they do things. I believe we are achieving very great things with them in the last years, and we will achieve even greater things in months and years to come. So it's not a bad thing or a good thing. They are different, and we must understand that and adapt to that the way the different is in there, basically.
Okay, great. Ricardo, if you let me ask you based on that once that you did not ask me straight on what I asked you, but what would be your key lesson learned over the last years in in the way things might have changed or not in your relationship with the traditional players, as you mentioned?
So the key lesson learned is that we must be patient. I think that is one of the things we learned a lot during the last years. We must be patient, and we should not push. We must understand. We have procurement areas, we have cybersecurity, we have infrastructure, we have compliance, and it's just phases that we need to go through them, and we must be patient on getting to the objective, which is a common objective. But the phases are still going to be there, and we will need to pass through them, basically.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ricardo. João, in your view, for let's call it traditional player incumbents, I think that we are roughly talking about the same. How important is it to be aligned in the innovation principles? Because I think that sometimes we can notice, and even talking from our own experience, the gap is huge in different dimensions, and of course that in the back and upstream of this, the principles are roughly aligned, but that on a daily basis on the field, sometimes we watch and we witness huge gaps. What is your experience? What would be your comments on things, on the way things are evolved or not really?
Yeah, good question. So let me start by thanking João and the organizers and for having me here. So I would say that the way innovation is perceived by incumbents is different from the way, fundamentally the way fintechs and faster moving companies move and operate. So I would say that that incumbents have a high level of expertise and resources, and they have the willingness to innovate. And this of course is a critical aspect. But if the alignment between the innovation values is not very high with the fintechs that they're collaborating with, so there's the risk that this willingness to innovate boils down to basically a need or want to be perceived by the market as being innovative, and these are two very different things. So so Fraudio is backed by ING, the bank ING, so a large corporation, 50,000 people working for them, and we experience this often. So they have the willingness to be perceived as being very innovative, but then what they do on the back of that is very different. And they tend to stick to their ways, and the internal stakeholders tend to, rightfully so or understandably so, they tend to protect their little way of working and what they've been doing in the last 10, 15, 20 years, which is understandable. And so for us as the disruptors, so to say, or as the faster-paced innovators, we need to really find time to engage with those important stakeholders and try to identify the laggards, so to say, from an innovation perspective, and try to sway them our way.
On this way, as you have put it, I got the expression. They pretend they have the willingness to be perceived.
Yeah.
Although I guess everyone have that willingness. But the point is, what is the battle that you feel on the daily basis? That if you could give us one or two examples that has been impossible to overcome, or that has been most hard to overcome, or that even has made you change your way and the direction as you've moved. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say, So if you operate and Fraudio operates in a segment that exists or operates in an industry that exists and has existed for a long time, so we do fraud detection and actually anti-money laundering, but because we do it in a disruptive way and we do it in a completely SaaS way. Let's say the incumbents are not used to the way we do things. So expose an API, connect, done, and they are used to having a high touch approaches, in a relationship with a company, and that brings some issues because we need to let's say explain or bring the trust, charge the trust batteries as much as we can, and basically, in a way, make them really understand that we're simplifying their lives and we're working with them and for them and not against them. So I've noticed that sometimes some units become a little bit protective because they feel that we are challenging them, but it's not the case. So we're working to serve them, in a way that helps their day-to-day life.
Okay, thank you, João. Jana, I'm getting back to you. You have an extensive experience in working in the financial area, namely over the last years with fintechs. If I just would have to ask you a single piece of advice, what would be your comment on how fintechs can improve their go-to-market strategies and their effectiveness? Because we have on the audience several fintechs and also people from the investment community and banks. What would be your advice on that?
So the basic advice is, first of all, nail your proposition. And I know it applies to everyone, but really be clear on what your unique selling proposition is. What is it you're doing? You should think high, or sky is the limit, but also try not to boil the ocean. So take it step at a time. And in the effectiveness, if you really want to grow, the partnerships are a really strong and powerful way of doing so. So definitely consider, and this is actually even maybe in outsourcing, because outsourcing partners like you, actually, that you can outsource to someone else, because you don't have to do everything yourself, because then you can focus on what you do best and on planning on the customer acquisition and really nailing that proposition rather than worrying about delivering everything. So consider the partnership, not only partnership that will help you scale in the sense of opening up new markets and opening access to the customers or consumers or clients, but it's also in making sure you can focus on what is actually what you do best.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Jana. Yeah, that's great. Ricardo, you've already covered a bit on what has been your major lesson learned over the last years, and just mentioned patience, that for me resonates a lot and really makes lots of sense. Do you think that this context of COVID, how deep or how dramatically has changing or is changing the relationships and the pace of the interaction between fintechs and traditional players? How impactful has been in the pace that that interaction is happening, or not really?
Yes. So when COVID started in March, at least when we noticed it most on the users of our platform, we realized that there was suddenly an urgency on creating or on putting everything online from most of our clients and most of our new clients. However, that urgency is not, it existed in the beginning, but then the reality was there and things just work slower in the real world, and so things just took time. What we realized that it was the need of having things done remotely. So and the things done with users at home. And that was achieve it. So most of our clients actually achieve it the ways of having remote account opening, having credit card issuing, having consumer credit, having customer data update, and we have all that in our platform today. And even account recovery, contact certification, things like that, that were normally done in the office or in the branch. What I see now is that COVID showed that it is possible to have a digital relation with consumers. And now what is going to happen is that everything happened very fast. It was not the best decisions that were made. There was just a transposition of what was being done in the physical world to the digital world. But it was done, and it showed it is possible. It is possible to have a digital relation with the consumer for a bank, for instance. And consumers saw it. Consumers saw that consumers started to doing things at home. So what I'm going to think is going to happen now is that there is no going back. So you are not going to be able as a bank to say to a customer that, well, this only happened during COVID. Now it's back to normal. You should just go to the branch again. So there is no go back. And that's what we are going to see is that now we are going to improve how things were done, improve the procedures, improve the journeys, improve everything according to a digital way and not just a transposition of what was being done in the physical world. So this is what we are already seeing with most of our customers, is improving what has been done during the last months to actually build a real digital experience for consumers or for the end users.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you. João, we'll have a final question for you before just we finish our panel. You're Portuguese, you're now in Spain, you used to live in Amsterdam, so you have a very good overview on what is the landscape on the European market. Do you notice major differences in terms of, I don't know, in terms of pace, in terms of openness, in terms of the way organizations cooperate across Europe? Do you notice major differences across different regions or countries?
No, definitely I do. So let's say that the larger countries tend to be a little bit more closed and they expect or they prefer to work with players from those countries. And I mean, Europe is a unified market of sorts, but at the same time, of course, there's a language barrier, there's a cultural barrier, and that of course has plays a very important role. For us, being we're actually Netherlands based. My team of co-founders is composed of New Zealanders, Dutch, and Portuguese, and so we're truly multicultural and we're able to bridge that gap efficiently. But there's always the aspect, the language barrier. For instance, going to the French markets, there's definitely a barrier there. You need local, or you need someone who's able to connect with them, directly. For instance, in Portugal, for us, I think it actually plays in our advantage. So the fact that I am Portuguese, the fact that we have a development in Portugal, actually plays in our advantage. And also in the Netherlands, the fact that we're there makes it also that little bit easier. So all in all, Europe is diverse, and there's different openness levels in different countries, I would say.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, guys, I think we are right on schedule. I'd like to thank you for having been so concise and very straightforward in answering our questions. I hope that has been useful for the audience as well. That I'd like to thank once again for joining us in this session. Again, it was my privilege to participate with Portugal Fintech, and would like also to congratulate everyone on the launch of this report once again, with very good insights and very good perspectives and contents that help us in having this wider overview on what is happening. Also like once again to thank Jana, Ricardo and João for joining us, and to my very good friends from Portugal Fintech to congratulate them once again, that saying that it's also a privilege for Accenture to be part of this ecosystem that you are managing so well. Okay, so I'd like to tell you that have a nice day, everyone, and to have a very good session across the day with Portugal Fintech. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Excellent, Luís. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, João, for this great panel. I think I'm sure it was very useful. And now for the next panel, we're gonna have a mix of in-person and also virtual. We have João from Lovys, Sérgio from Liqui.do, Gonçalo from Alfredo, Filipe from Elucidate, moderated by Simão from Portugal Fintech, on a debate of, is fintech more fin or more tech? We are going to have CEOs and CTOs talking about this.
Okay. Marco, thank you a lot for the introduction. I'm really happy to be here today with 4 startups that are part of the top 30 fintechs of this year. Really happy to have João and Gonçalo and Sérgio and Filipe joining us remotely. And so without further ado, I would get started with a question for you all. Could you briefly introduce yourselves, and do you think that your company is more fin or more tech? Okay. So, João, do you want to start?
I mean, basically, Lovys, what we are doing is really reimagine insurance, reimagine the way we protect ourselves. If we ask ourselves today how many insurance contracts we have, if we are well protected or not well protected, it's impossible to give that question. Even more basic questions like how much do we pay on a monthly basis. So what Lovys is creating is the first all-in-one monthly subscription for all things insurance. So I would say, and the way we put it simply, is that we are doing to insurance what Spotify did to music. Coming to your question, and the way I look at it is that without technology, we have no reason to exist. We have, I wouldn't say, not even a reason, I wouldn't say we don't even have a right to exist. Because otherwise, I mean, I find it, and the reason why I like the metaphor of Spotify is that similar to music, in which an album is a collection of songs, any insurance contract is a collection of protections, of coverages. And so when you create a new product, you are basically just mixing those coverages differently. And therefore, it's very like when you see a playlist, it's a collection of songs. And when you see, so it's very similar. And therefore, what we see and what we feel is that protection insurance is really super important in our day-to-day. And what we are living with COVID even more emphasizes those needs. Nevertheless, the way we engage with it, it's completely out of touch.
Okay. Gonçalo, could you let us know a bit about Alfredo?
Sure, but first of all, let me thank you, Simão, and your team, because I know you guys have been running around the clock to put this up, and I think it's the report and the FinTech House is a really good initiative for the ecosystem. And at Alfredo, we are very grateful to be here. But let's talk a little bit about Alfredo. So Alfredo is offering intelligence and automation to the real estate world by using a myriad of state-of-the-art machine learning techniques. But it's easier to understand with examples. So let me give you 3 examples. At this specific moment, here in Portugal, there are multiple real estate agents, realtors, brokers, real estate appraisers using our flagship product to understand how much a property is worth. This report is an instant AI-powered report, and it works all over the country. And it started in the beginning of the year with 500 users, and at the moment, it already has 4,000. But this is not the only thing that the intelligence engine of Alfredo does. So, if you're a financial fund, sometimes, a real estate financial fund, you have to buy a bulk of properties. And this bulk of properties has a very short window in which you can make an offer. And these funds come to Alfredo because they need to make bulk valuations really fast, and because they want their analysts to they shouldn't spend time doing stuff that can be automated. And that's exactly what we try to do with machine learning, is to automate the boring parts. The third example is the public dashboard for student housing. So if you're a student in Portugal looking for a room while going to the university, you want to understand, you don't want to be fooled. You want to understand how much should you pay for a room. And Alfredo did a public dashboard for student housing in conjunction with the Ministry of Science, Technology and Education. Why? Well, because the ministry had a very important question they wanted to answer and nobody could, which was how many rooms are being offered by the private sector. And our technology is so extensible that we easily got this answer, and the result was the public dashboard that anyone can visit. Going back to your original question, at Alfredo we always say it's tech and team. We want to have the best technology so we can have the best team, and we want to have the best team so we can have the best technology. It's like a self-feedback cycle. And obviously the fin part, which you can call it more the business part and the domain knowledge, is what wraps this up.
Great, thank you. Great, and so moving to our speakers joining us remotely. Sérgio, it's great to have you here. Could you introduce us a bit about Liqui.do?
Sure. Hello, everybody. So Liqui.do is a fast-growing business-to-business platform. We have now offices in Madrid, Lisbon, and Porto, and we are now we are starting the business right now in Milan, and we are going also to Paris. So we expect to start there in the coming 6 months. Basically, what we do, we buy equipments to equipment resellers and we lease them to small businesses. Okay. We have just one product in the platform right now, which is in Portugal, we call it long-term rental. What differentiates us from the other players is that we have a technology-first approach. Okay, so we look at technology to build customer-centric solutions. And we have a very strong product team. We are like modern companies, we are organized by product teams, and we make hundreds of interactions with clients and dealers and try to see how can we solve their problems using technology and how can we build a better experience. Regarding the question about fin or tech, Liqui.do, we have a balance sheet, so we need to know how to manage risk, right? We need to know how to structure our capital with equity and debt so we can leverage and we can buy more equipment and grow. So the fin part is really important. But at the same time, technology is also important because if you want to build great experience, we need to use technology, right? So I would not put it as technology or finance, but I would put it as good technology. I think the future is not in finance or technology, but it's in good technology, meaning that we should gather all the innovation that is coming from better hardware, new language frameworks, machine learning, new algorithms, and use that technology to build a good experience. And this could be, look, this is the reason we frame Liqui.do as a business-to-business platform, because we want to open our vision, making it bigger, because what we are looking is to opportunities to serve our clients. So this could be with a financial product, in your case, like renting or insurance, but could be also with a collection product that is not really connected with with the finance part. So we try to widen our vision, and we don't see us as a fintech, we see us as a customer tech. So we are looking at opportunities, and we don't know where we go. So we are looking and trying to see what will be our next vision as we interact and build experience for our customers. So we don't have a closed mind. I don't like to put it like we are not a leasing platform. We are a business-to-business platform. We just want product. So, and now we are waiting to see what happens next.
Great. Thank you a lot, Sérgio. Moving to you, Filipe. Can you tell us a bit about Elucidate and if it's more on the fin side or on the tech side?
Sure, thank you. So I'm the co-founder and CTO of Elucidate, and we are the first regulated financial crime risk quantification platform. So we take data from our customers, which are banks, we run it through our model, and then we produce a score. This score enables the bank to work on their financial crime program and improve that program. So it enables them to work with outputs with a proper score then instead of just working with the inputs that they have of hiring more people or getting a new software. In a time like we are now that we see big financial crime events happening every single month, like the FinCEN files last month, we see that there is a big need to use the same methodology that was used on credit that started 100 years ago on the financial crime space. We are a data-driven company, and because of that, we believe that we are more tech than fin. But since we are working so closely and only to the financial institutions, we see a lot of that involving into our company as well.
Great, perfect. Thank you. So moving to a question more on the fin side to João and to Sérgio, I would like to ask you that, so you basically sell financial products at your core. How do you see that you can leverage technology to help you provide a better service to your clients? And what do you expect to be able to do with that in the future?
I mean, it's super interesting the way we see technology today playing in the insurance world. I mean, in general, I say that when you look to what is happening on the fintech space, like with Revolut, with N26 versus the banks, there is a gap this size in terms of what can be done with the technology and where the banks are. I would say that in insurance, that gap is massive. It's really and the reason why that gap exists is because when you think about 30 years ago, you'd go to a little broker store and you'd buy a product and you sign with a paper and so on and so forth. Then you'd start in the 90s, do that through the phone or today online. What is interesting is that from a product standpoint, nothing has really changed at all, nothing. And so when you are collecting the data and the way the data has been collected and treated, in many cases, very little is being done with that. So in a way, I would say that there are two very different dimensions, and those dimensions are fundamental and provide us a playbook to disrupt this market. So on one side, you have what you can do with the data from a risk standpoint, to better understand the risk, to better underwrite that risk, to better prevent fraud. And there are different ways of doing that. You have techniques as data enrichment, you have techniques as a better way to onboard the client. So for example, I can give you plenty of examples of it. Think about that you had an accident today. You have a car accident, like imagine at 2 a.m. in the morning, and you're coming from a club, you have drinking alcohol. You can report that accident on the day after. There is no way an insurance company is able to prove that you have actually, it's very hard to prove that when that accident took place. If you simply have an app, it's very easy to detect when that accident took place at the exact moment, exact time, so on and so forth, because you can see from the accelerometer of the phone. And we could go and provide you plenty of examples with very simple underwriting features, how you can detect fraud, how you can better analyze risk. And that is just like on that dimension. Then there is a second dimension of how you create products to the users and superior products to the users. The fascinating situation today is that the products have been created in an on and off fashion. So that means that we are typically overprotected for certain risks and underprotected to others. Let's, for example, I could give plenty of examples. Let's leave a very simple example. At the moment, if you are a student, most likely you are super overprotected for your goods that you have at your place. So you probably have a protection for 20, 40,000 euros of protection, and you have an IKEA bed, an IKEA sofa that definitely the amount is very small. But then you leave and you go to college, and you have an iPhone, you have a computer, you have probably a tablet, so you have 5,000 euros with you with zero protection. So if you have a theft, it's zero protection. And it can go on and on. For example, nowadays, something that is very debated in the insurance industry is that it's car versus bicycle. So if you are a car, you have an accident, you are super well protected. If you have a bicycle, you have zero protection. And so what we see here is that in Lovys we have the ability not to disrupt and to do things differently on the underwriting side, but also on using and leveraging these data to create superior products that give an answer to the user.
Great. Thank you, João. Sérgio, you were saying that you are not much of differentiating between fin and tech. Can you give us your perspective on this side of tech can impact the business of Liqui.do in the future?
Your microphone is off, Sérgio.
Sérgio, I think we are not being able to hear.
I'm sorry, I put it in mute by mistake.
Perfect. Now it's working perfectly.
Yeah, sure. So, look, I think the future are the companies in the future will be technology first. So the business model are changing because of technology. And as I said, in Liqui.do, and I think in any company right now, we are putting technology in the center. So, and technology allows us to build technology together with the amount of data that we are able to gather because of digitalization in the interactions we have with customers, allow us to build personalized experience. And technology also allows us to build instant gratification. We are in the new world of instant gratification. We want it and we want it now. So as a business, we try as a company to identify what are the problems, what are the noises in the processes. And we talk technologies like machine learning, like even with the innovations that we have in user experience frameworks like InVision and other tools, with these digitalizations, we can create more personalized solutions. And this is what we are doing in Liqui.do. For instance, using machine learning, we are able to create better models to assess customer small business risk. With that, we can approve more deals. We can do more deals, so more clients can access KEEP, and they need to grow the business. For instance, we can also use technology, for instance, a robotic processor automation. We are surrounded with lots of legacy systems to report, for instance, taxes or to assess government legal platforms. So we can use also this technology to fill injunctions or legal procedures immediately, so we can be more fast collecting. So technology, in reality, in Liqui.do, we have a products oriented company. We are not organized like finance, management, whatever. We are organized by product teams. So everyone is a product owner, and we try to use these new innovations to build really personalized experience and serve our customers. And I see that technology this way.
Great, thank you, Sérgio. And so for Gonçalo and Filipe, I think João and Sérgio have been speaking so much about data. So I would ask you a question about fintech and techfin. So we have an interview this year on the report with Chris Skinner, an international speaker and thought leader. He speaks a lot about companies that sell financial products and then use technology to improve their operations and services, but then also that there are technological companies built from the ground that end up selling financial products. Okay. And so my question for you two, maybe first for you, Gonçalo, is what do you believe will exist more in the future, fintech or techfin? And maybe you can also relate that with the importance of data in Alfredo.
Okay, so I think the data part is very important. So at the moment, we are at the 4.0 revolution, right? The 3.0 was the data part, right? So all this business, all this financial business are thriving with data. I think the most important thing at the moment is definitely the intelligence and analytics and automation you can build on top of that. And to be easy to understand for people who not deal with these subjects every day, I think a comparison with the oil industry is quite understandable. So in the oil industry, you have a value chain, right? You have these oil wells which extract the oil from the ground, then you have the refinery which refines this raw oil into different products like petrol, gas, kerosene, what the consumer buys, the high-end products. Machine learning is the same thing to data as the refinery is to the well. So at Alfredo, let me give our specific case. At Alfredo, we have a very big distributed system which gather all this data, and then we have the machine learning part which brings automation. The portfolio, the real estate funds, when they come to us to understand how much their portfolio is worth, they don't want data, they want automation. Why? Because human time is a limited resource, and they want their human time to be spent on things that matter, on the business decisions that matter. And they come to us because we offer them the full value of the chain. We extract the data, we automate the boring tasks, we give them the summary so their analysts can spend their limited time taking the decisions that they should, whether they should buy the portfolio, rent a house, whatever.
Great, thank you. And Filipe, going back to you, do you also agree with this idea of Gonçalo in we can use technology and data to spend more time on better decisions per se?
Sure. So for us, data is also key, right? We see data as being risk agnostic, and that enables us to remove all the subjectivity that is created by the humans and by the compliance people or all the analysts that are working with that. So we believe that using models that are free from bias enables us to achieve unprecedented results. So we can move from a system that is looking at something as being high, medium, or low risk to a proper score, and that using a score like that enables to create a benchmark and then to price an asset. We see that our product can be used a little bit like in the past, all the ATMs machines, when they came into the financial system, they didn't put the tellers, the bank tellers to unemployment. They just start to do more important tasks and more complex tasks. So the ATM grew, but also the number of people that were employed in the industry also grew. So we're not there to replace the human, we're just there to enable the human. Also a very important factor is the transparency that exists in the data. So when data is shared between the customer, the regulator, and us, the rating agency, enables us to show to the customer and to the regulator what's happening under the hood, which is mostly not seen by the human. We still see that the biggest problem that we face with using the data is the extraction from those institutions, or sometimes even the digitization from their legacy systems. So being able to get that data and standardize the data will for sure improve in the near future. And since software is eating the world, we really see that this is happening sooner rather than later, and we believe that it will get to a scenario that is more a tech fin than a fintech for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you a lot, Filipe. I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you a lot to the speakers for being here. It was great. And I get back to you, Marco, for the last panel.
Thank you very much, Simão. Thank you, João. Thank you, Sérgio. Thank you, Gonçalo, and thank you, Filipe, for all the comments. I think there were a lot of metaphors comparing what is tech right now compared to other industries. And now for the last panel. By the way, the report will be available at the end of the event. You can go to our webpage and check that and download the report and read all these amazing articles and insights that we created for you. So for the last panel, we were talking about tech, and now like fintech, it's ruled by this concept of API, and it's an API world. And in this panel, we're gonna have Sasha from Habit, Diogo from Happy, Fabiana from Y Data, and it will be moderated by Luís from Team Genesis at Moraes Leitão. And I think it will be a great panel to close this amazing event. Also, I would love to thank everyone, to thank the partners, to thank the startups, to thank the founders, and also the whole team of the Portugal Fintech Association to bring this report to the hand of everyone. Thank you very much. We have the panelists going to the stage. Also, it will be half virtual, half in person. Luís, all yours.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you very much for the invitation, Marco, and the entire team at Portugal Fintech and at the Fintech House as well. Happy to be here, obviously, and happy to have this chat with you. I think that the first, obviously, we're going to have Sasha DeWitt, CEO of Habit Analytics. We're going to have a good friend, Diogo Nesbitt from Happy, and we're going to have Fabiana Clement, Chief Data Officer at Y Data. Oh, we already have her. Nice to see you, Fabiana. So basically, we should start off with having a quick presentation of what we all do, basically, but most importantly, what Sasha does at Habit.
So at Habit, what we do is we allow insurers to sell new products through distributors. So in the topic of API, what we do is we have an API, or we actually turn insurance products into APIs for new distributors to be able to subscribe to be able to allow them to manage policies and claims. And in doing so, it allows for new insurance products to be allowed to sold on the market and quickly without any integration. That's in a nutshell.
Well done. Do you want to go ahead?
Thank you for the invitation. We at Happy, we provide APIs for financial institutions that don't have APIs. So we create APIs on top of the websites of them, and we provide those APIs to other companies that want to collect the data, for instance, from banks, for Portugal's fintech institutions, for Portugal, Bank of Portugal, and so on. And we provide this information as APIs to be fast on other processes.
Yeah, well done. Fabiana, do you want to let us know what you do for a living?
Yes, sure. So thank you for the invitation. At Y Data, we are enabling a data-first culture in organizations through our platform where data science teams can access and build high-quality data sets, helping businesses to achieve higher return on investment from their AI initiatives.
Oh, well done. That's all very, very exciting and way more exciting than what I do for a living, but that would be useful for you to know. So basically, I'm Luís Geraldes. I am the head of Team Genesis, which is the emerging companies practice at Moraes Leitão. We're 17 lawyers strong, and basically what we do is help emerging companies for a living. We do fundraising, we do business model validation, and we do international scaling. But enough of myself and what we do at Team Genesis, and off to the people that really matter. Sasha, the first question for you is, how do you describe the importance of APIs in your sector and in the value chain of your sector, and what's the importance of the APIs in your sectors? And can you please provide specific use cases?
Sure. Yeah. So the way we see it is APIs are basically a necessity in order to run a business nowadays. So in terms of the value chain, is it allows for it's the interoperability layer between all parties to be able to communicate, to do business. And so it's a part of the technology that you need to run your day-to-day business. For us, obviously the most relevant use case for us is being able to allow insurers to sell new insurance products. So we will create we create new APIs for distributors to subscribe to, and then to be able to sell new products. So this on our part, for example, for our business model, it's allowing a pet store to now be able to subscribe to an insurance product and be able to sell an insurance product on their website, and to be able to do that seamlessly and without any integration. Other examples of this would say be in the healthcare system, even here. So imagine if every hospital had their own API that health insurers could then subscribe to. So now if you're a patient and you're going and you want to check if you are eligible for certain treatments, instead of the lady at the hospital having to call and check, hey, is this person qualified? Now every insurer just subscribes to the hospital's API, and now it's instantaneous, and people can get better and faster care.
Well done. So for people that are not here present, Sasha, we want to make things challenging for our speakers. So basically we're having building words on the side, so Sasha was having a bit of a trouble concentrating, but we'll go along with it. Diogo, the same question for you. So basically, how do you describe the importance of APIs in the value chain of your sector and use cases?
I think it's more a bit what Sasha is saying. We work more for the financial services, but it's almost the same. We collect data from different financial information sources, like banks, like Portugal Authority, and so on. So we make the process faster. For example, when you open an account, you have to go to the bank and put all your information on front of your personal advisor, and he's collect all the data, put on the system, and so on. We can grab all that information in 10 seconds with 2 or 3 passwords from all the websites that already have your data and trusted data, and so on. For example, on the Portuguese Authority system, you have all your information, and it's trusted and it's authenticated, and so on. So if you provide that information to this guy, it's much more faster, and so on. For instance, on the same time, if you will get a loan, a credit from a bank, you have to provide your salary, the proof of them, your companies, or your address certificate, and so on. And instead of collecting all this data on a paper to check if it's valid, to put on the system, to keep it on your document system, and so on, we can grab it in 10 seconds with just 2 clicks, and it's certified, and so on. So it's much better for all the process.
Well done. And thank you as a user. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's obviously useful.
I say the same.
Fabiana, do you want to let us know? Yeah, same question for you.
Sorry?
So the same question for you. How do you describe the importance of APIs in the value chain of your sector and specific use cases?
Yeah. So I would say that APIs nowadays are, without no question, an opportunity to provide consumers a greater choice in who and how they bank or any other tasks in the industry, right? And this is definitely a massive advantage. Nevertheless, as with everything that has a positive side, for example, the APIs also increase the opportunity, for example, for fraud cases, for example. And that is why we can help, or why data can have a better a place to support. For example, if you go and see how AI and fraud detection systems embedded in AI can help in those cases, we see the whole benefits of a full ecosystem of combined APIs with automated fraud detection systems. But for this to be a reality, we need a lot of data. And for that reason, we can help the players that want to invest more in AI through, for example, the identification of inconsistency events labeled as fraud, or creation of labels for fraudulent events, and even the augmentation of the available set of frauds through the synthetic data generation, leading to a significant improvement in the process of detecting fraud, for example. Another useful use case, and based on a lot of the things already shared in the panels of today's session, is this need of sharing data between different entities through APIs or through any other system. So we see a lot data as a centerpiece of the systems today. But sometimes sharing this data is not that easy. There are regulations, there are compliance, and even sometimes, as mentioned, the data is too siloed. And for example, the use or the adoption of tools such as Y-Data, where synthetic data generation is a reality, could speed up a lot the access to this data that is so important for not only the incumbents, but also the partners that want to help them to digitalize and to offer better solutions and better digital experience for their customers.
Yeah, thank you, Fabiana. It's a very good segue for another question that I had for the panel, which is basically, and it's all about the incumbents on the other side, obviously, because we're talking about open banking. It's relevant, actually what Fabiana was touching upon, which is reputation hazard and sharing data and all the risks around that. And what I would like to know is your views on how should incumbents be, what should incumbents be doing to truly harvest the full potential of APIs in open banking?
Yeah, I think on our end, the way we see it is that APIs are a necessity for running businesses these days. You wouldn't run a business without having a phone number, and incumbents certainly wouldn't do that. And so you shouldn't have a business without having an API that's there. You wouldn't be able to scale. And if you're going to compete with technology companies, if you're going to be a modern bank or a modern financial institution, you need to have an API. You need to be able to communicate at scale, to communicate with all of your customers, to be able to run to run at a scalable rate. And so that's why we to help the institutions do that, in the modern fintech economy.
Joe, your views on this?
It's pretty the same. If you don't be there, if you're not there, you'll not get the train. I think if banks, if financial corporations will not use all the available APIs to transform all their processes, they will not get on the top level in the next years. And you see Revolut, you see new banks, new specific companies coming on these processes, mostly just making some of the small process on that a huge bank usually made, but made it very specific way, very quickly, very organized, with all the information that they can grab, because they are focused on those processes, and they can be much more efficient, much more faster. I talked with a friend the other day who works in a Brazilian company that puts the money on your account in 30 minutes from the moment that you register on the website. So if you are not on this top level perfect process stage, someone will come and do it. So I think the mentality has to change to this mindset, and to start putting all the maximum efforts on these integrations, because it will increase all the process in this decision.
And do you agree, Fabiana?
Yeah, definitely. And we definitely see that there is a lot of potential in this API world. We see from a willing to have a faster digital experience to a more personalized offer for the customers, for example. I could say that we see an Amazonification trend on the services, and the finance industry is no exception for that. But in that sense, and for a lot of the solutions to be possible, and some of them have already been referred throughout the panels of today, there is a massive need for machine learning and also hence a need for a lot of data. So this API world, let's say, has brought along what I believe to be an era of data economy, which means that institutions are looking to get more closer to their customer with more tailored and faster services. And some of this data that is required may not even reside within the walls of the financial institutions, for example. So as soon as these organizations are able to map, manage, and invest in the development of good databases and data sets, to be truly data-driven culture, they will for sure become pioneers in the sector. And also we, as I mentioned today already, it's important to not forget the aspect that all this data and data from customers is still private, especially when we are using it to feed AI or any other processes.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I, for one, certainly enjoy your work thoroughly because obviously it makes my job or my day-to-day life a little easier on the processes and on the automation. So I thank you all very much. Thank you for the nice conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luís. And Sasha, Diogo, and Fabiana, also for having a boring machine 5 meters from us and holding up. Thank you very much. And thank you all that have watched this event. And it's done. The Portugal Fintech Report 2020, it's out. And you can download it from our website, portugalfintech.org. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Ciao, ciao.